You're like, but it was really fun to see. I'm really working with very expert videographers here, so I'll talk about that in a minute. But first, I just want to explain why I'm in a very unusual setting for usually where I'm coming from to talk to you all. So first, let me turn off my phone. And like we were just talking with Stephen about his work, is in prosperity and the Genesis frequency work that he does, and he's bringing rhythm to it. Everything is changed when we bring in rhythm. It's really the universal. It's a universal pulse. Take a breath.
If you can.
Oh, I forgot to mute the participants. Hold on. There we go. Just as you hear this beat, take a few deep breaths. Just be anchored in this now moment, in this amazing circle of mastermind facilitators who've been together with you on this journey for 6 months, actually 7 months, 6 sessions. And tonight's topic is about time management and efficiency and self-care. And you know what it feels like when you're when you're overextended. And you know what it feels like when you're in rhythm. So just coming into this groove, I'll slow it down a little. Slowing down is hard sometimes. Oh, I was hoping somebody was drumming along. Awesome. Okay, so our person who's going to share about what they're doing with success right now is going to be Stephen.
Yeah, nothing like putting me on the spot, Christine.
I can screen share your website with them and your Facebook page. No, listen, what you have just done is really important for everybody to hear.
Well, this is it. You know, it's just a little bit different. It's really not really along the lines what anybody else is doing. I'm inspired by what you all are doing. My path is really sharing and teaching attraction principles, although, you know, I have the love of drumming, the love of music, and all that goes along with it. But I always, for the last 10 years, or really the last 5 years, work by inspiration and just allow to be spirit guided. And as I was working on my master's and my doctorate last year, I was just really driven with the prosperity principles, the attraction principles that I teach, that wow, this world of drumming that kind of went under the radar, and I didn't really latch onto it until I ran into Christine a few years ago, back in, I think, 2015 or 2014 at a Unity convention. And I said, wow, drum circles, that's a pretty cool idea, not knowing anything. So, you know, it was sitting back there, and I went to Arthur Hall and got trained by Arthur this year and all that. So I did a lot. But in the back of my mind, as I was working, I did my master's thesis was on the power of our subconscious mind, and my doctorate was on visualization. And I've always been a prosperity teacher for the last 5 or 6 years, talking about, well, we hear a lot about the law of attraction, but that's a secondary law. There's actually laws that precede that, like the laws of vibration. Duh, light bulb going off, you know, the law of vibration. We're in a high vibration or a low vibration. And then I started just kind of connecting dots in my own consciousness, thinking that, well, I started diving into this drum thing. And I've been a drummer all my life, but on the other side of it, as a kit drummer and things like that. And since it is indeed the first rhythm that we're ever exposed to, the rhythm of our mother's heartbeat, what happens after that? Everything that we create in our lives is created by choices and decisions that we make once we move into the conscious part of our mind, the thinking part of our mind. Up until we activate that part of our mind, everything's just kind of poured in as programming into the subconscious mind. But when we start making choices and decisions, we're still moving along through life with the rhythm. And then as I looked around me and just started really paying attention, moving through, a trilogy of tribulation really in my life that started 10 years ago when I first walked away from alcohol and tobacco in 2008, and started to really notice things and notice the rhythm of life in the way that the ocean moves, the way that our breaths moves, the wind and the rain and the trees and the rhythm of life itself. And then I started
just going to interrupt one quick second because
Sure.
I love, of course, your personal story and it's very moving. But I want you to also focus a little bit more about what you're doing with your new podcast.
Well, that's what I was going into right now. And I get that. I'll move it along. I'll land the plane, so to speak. What I was putting together at the end of last year in my mind was that every time a song comes on, if you listen to some old songs, a song has the power to take you to that first kiss, that first slow dance, that memory, whether it was painful or joy-filled. Music, the song, takes you right there in an instant. And in the prosperity work that I do, we talk about building our goals and our dreams because everything was created twice in our mind. And as we do that and we affirm our good in the present tense, why not add the rhythm to our affirmation, to our affirmative good? So the idea of the Genesis frequency was born, and I kind of kept that name under wrap. A lot of people really like that name, the Genesis frequency, and I had shared with you earlier that I have visions. I have a book in the works for that, and even a movie. And the whole thought was to tie in our power to create the life we would love to live through the power of our thoughts, and accelerating that process by adding rhythm to our affirmative statements, our affirmative images of ourselves. Because rather than just being robots that walk around just affirming, I am a multimillionaire now, I am a multimillionaire now, things like that, that we add some real feeling to our affirmative statements of what we want to experience in our life, because it's the feeling that makes the difference. And what better way to add feeling than through the power of rhythm, which is so natural to us. So we create our image, we think about our goals. I go through a whole process of goal creation, thinking about those really big goals that we want to achieve that we have no idea how they could really come true for us. And then taking that goal, and I'm even recording these for people so they can listen to them over and over and over again. And then the rhythm becomes the affirmation. So just like that old song, we can just hear a few bars of it and we're reminded of that person from 20 years ago or 10 years ago, however long it was. Well, it's the same thing with our affirmation. Rather than making an affirmation or a positive statement about that which we would like to bring into our field of experience, we put it to rhythm. So as soon as we hear the rhythm, the whole statement comes back and flashes across our subconscious mind. So I had to test this before I could just preach it as theory. So I did it in my own life, and I just accelerated my own results of what I was making manifest in my world. So now we're putting it to use with other people through the power of the podcast and some other things I'm doing.
Well, let me show people really quick on the screen share that I was just looking at the Facebook page, wasn't I? Let me see if I can find it again. There he is. Here's Stephen's page, and look at this beautiful podcast. The Genesis frequency, your beginning, and you can click on, and he's doing 6 a week. And it sounds so professional. I love the sound of this. And I can get it on all these platforms.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my image because everybody feeds off of Apple.
Frequency. This is Dr. Stephen J. Kosmina welcoming you in to another episode of a show that focuses on your whole life prosperity and success.
Sweet. So I just think, big hands up to you for doing such innovative marketing. This must be hard work to pump out that much content every week.
Yeah, it is. I've been getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning for a long time, and so I try to get done recording by about 5 in the morning, and so I got it down pretty good though, because I record it. I do it. It's all inspired. I don't sit down and write it out. There's oftentimes I'll click the record button and I have no idea what I'm going to say. I just kind of center myself before then, and then you know what, I just like the music I chose, and I'll probably switch it out from time to time, but I listen to my intro. I'm recording while the intro is playing, and then I flatline it in case there's any background noises, but I just get into it when the music's playing, and then there's just something about it, because I was doing videos every morning, and it's just something about turning on the microphone when nobody can see me. I always said I had a face for radio and a voice for print.
Okay, let's give him some love.
Thank you.
I want to open it up to see if anybody has comments or questions for you as well, but I want to say one thing about audio versus video that is coming in the trending information is, when you're watching a video, you're staring at a screen, and everybody's becoming much more conscious about screen time. And you can listen to an audio while you're driving, but you can't watch a video. Mm-hmm. You can listen to an audio while you're walking on the beach, but you can't watch a video. It's rude to look at a video screen when you're at a party, but you could be listening, while you're shopping. So there's a lot of new research coming out. I think it's exciting. Yeah, when do you sleep is a question from Lulu. Yeah, but it's a great feeder. My tip for you too is I would love to see you, this is your ministry, tap into your large global community of Unity and see if they'd like to license that content, or could you get some airplay or get interviewed. I was interviewed twice by Unity Radio. They have a very prolific radio program, and they're always looking for content. One tip is that content is key. The minute you have content, Stephen's demonstrating for us a great buzzword he created, the Genesis frequency, whether it's the drumming, the drumming secret, or the secrets of drumming, or drumming for well-being, or whatever our code word is that gives us a title. A title is a seed. The whole story is contained in it. A title is a seed, a good seed that's going to build an amazing, oak tree. So you want to really capture your powerful title. And the other thing you mentioned that I wanted to highlight is value added. So he's building a larger thing to sell, and then these are bonuses. The bonus value-added path is the biggest thing that worked for my course with Shift Network, is being able to say, as a bonus, this applies for any of you. You're going to do a drum circle gig. You say, as a bonus, I'm going to give you a 6-pack of my Shake Your Face Off eggs. I used to give a CD to every company I worked with, or I would start to do downloads. So included in the price of your gig with me at Corporate Drum Circle, I'll send you a download track so that everybody can keep this going in their lives, and they'll have the music in their cubicle. It's a 7-minute long play, and it's the music we start our program with, right? So these are things that are above and beyond just the transaction of, the price of your program. So that's what we're thinking about with this marketing idea. So any other comments or questions for Stephen? I mean, thank you, Stephen. I put you on the spot completely. Usually I prepare somebody to share, and I really do mean way to go. I mean, this is great content you're pumping out, and I really love your design about bringing rhythm into this affirmative thinking and how it can change you. And that's just the perfect place to start it. Congratulations. Any comments or questions from anybody else about that? Yes.
I think that there's somewhere in there, and he's probably doing it, but Dr. Steve, somehow putting that title with the law of attraction or vibration, Dr. Rhythm, I don't know.
Well, you're going to love this because everything's marketing, right? My last name is Kosmina, all right? And I actually go into a couple podcasts. In fact, that one that you played, I go, this is Dr. Kaz. I know, not Dr. Oz, but it's all marketing, right? And I had it first because I looked it up, and I'm actually about 6 months older than he is. So Dr. Kaz, in fact, I went and got Dr. Kaz, K-O-S, and Dr. K-O-Z on I registered the domain name, so that's in the future. That'll be a marketing piece in the future. Ask Dr. Kaz. Creating at the rhythm of life, but
I would say, Nai, you're right on the money, and especially
no, thanks.
Out is your credential of doctor, right, to put that up.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's funny your word cause, because cause, which is about law of attraction.
Oh yeah, cause, yeah, cause. That's a good. I like that, Dr. Cause and Effect.
Dr. Cause. Cause and effect.
Oh, that's great. See, this is masterminding. That's what it's all about, you know.
Yeah. I'm super inspired by the podcast thing too, because for me, whatever I'm podcasting about, I would start out with the flute. Like I've done sessions with people, like we'll call them soul song, and we were talking about it, or personal anthems or whatever, where it's tailored to that person and they can listen to it for their, so to me, that'd be a really cool thing to start out the podcast with. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I want to do that. I'm looking at that drone behind you, and that's just, oh God, gorgeous.
Yeah. And really, I remember when I first learned flute, it was Maria Costellas. And she showed me, don't lift this finger for this mode. And okay, let's try these 3 things. Okay, good. Now go find some drummers and be on your way. So to me, really, it's, if I'm going to do things, I need to work with drummers. I mean, I'm here with drummers. So.
Okay, reach out and connect with me, because we can collaborate and do something with Audacity. I can send you a track and you can add to it, or vice versa.
Yes.
Nice, you guys. Beautiful. Does anybody else have an exciting update or any news of things that you've accomplished recently? Anybody having something to share? I know we had a report from John about working with, John, who was it? Google or Facebook or something? Who is it you were working with? Amazon? Who was it?
Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter. Right. Does anybody else have any updates they want to share? Damon, we haven't had you in a while. You've been like in another country, I think.
No, I'm in LA right now. I'm on vacation. I came out here to see a concert, but yeah, no, I don't have anything new to report. I've got a bunch of things percolating. My beloved partner and I we've created a rhythm chakra course. We're calling it rhythmic relaxation, rhythms for yoga class. She's a yoga teacher, and we're going to combine to create. Lynn Velez has a wonderful called Rhythm of the Chakras.
Yep.
And so 20 years ago, she created a guided meditation using that, and the rhythm's actually quite good. So we're going to we credit him, of course, but using that as sort of a jumping off point, and we're going to create new guided meditation. And then I'm going to do rhythm, and we're going to combine, I did last year on tour, combine aromatherapy, rhythm. She's a Reiki healer as well. So we're going to just combine a whole yoga class with aromatherapy, even maybe at some point incorporate, we don't want to do too much at once, but do crystals, the properties of crystals, aromatherapy, rhythm, and yoga. So we've been working on this whole collaboration. I've been working with this yoga studio here in Denver. I'm in LA now, but back in Denver for like 8-9 years. So we're going to try and do a weekly class of this, and then once every few months do an all-day workshop with the whole being as a nucleus. So I have been on that quite a bit, and we're getting ready to do the launch. We're on vacation, and we get back, we're going to launch it.
Give him some love. I love that design and beautiful. So many good things about what you just shared: collaboration, clear target, yoga market. And I really like that you're doing some market research so you can get testimonials, you get responses, you can hone your product. Great. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. I will just dive into the topic. I guess I have something to share. Okay, good, Grace. Yay. Go ahead. I will spotlight you.
I had run into someone that at a dinner party that I'd gone to, and they had been looking for someone to do mental health work on one of our local reserves, an indigenous reserve. And I've done a lot of work with the indigenous populations in the north, in northern Alberta. And they were like, yes, come, and we want a contract at $600,000, write a contract for us. So I am now in the process of writing a proposal for this. So I guess that's something to celebrate that I just totally forgot about because I've been working on it all week. So it's like, okay. So yeah, that's a really big, important thing. So things have definitely opened up for me that way. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who's funding it?
It's actually the federal government through, what is it called? It's through the Truth and Reconciliation Commission with the Canadian government. So that has to do with the residential schools and sort of coming back from the residential schools. And because I do blanket exercise facilitation regularly, they're like, oh, well, it'll be okay. We like this. And I have the degree in social work, and my background's in mental health and addiction. So they're like, yep, that's all along the same par. So get it written up and we'll go there. So
what's blanket work?
Oh, blanket exercises. Blanket exercises are, it was created by Kairos, which I'm a member of. And they're a faith-based group that gets together from lots of different bodies of faith that created the blanket exercise in response to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Okay.
So as sort of not even an apology, it's just the work of
reparation,
teaching people what has happened since first contact with the indigenous peoples until now and what impacts that had. And instead of being like, okay, here's a piece of paper and this is what's on it, you actually guide people through a physical exercise, and so it's experiential learning is what it is.
And are you going to bring drumming into this proposal?
Yeah, that's all that this proposal is. It's all going to be drumming. So yeah.
Wow, Grace.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I have something I can share. I think, yeah, big hand for Grace.
Okay.
And what's the name of your company?
Saving Grace Rhythms.
Yeah, Saving Grace Rhythms. No coincidence, they're looking for compassion and grace and they found you.
That's right.
Large-scale cultural healing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is very large-scale cultural healing.
It's really important to me. I'm Irish, Inuit, and English. I know I don't look like it, but I have a lot of Inuit in me. And because I'm from Newfoundland and Labrador, and my family, my roots are Inuit in the Labrador in the north. So it's really important to me because we didn't acknowledge that in my family for a very long time, and so this work is particularly important to me. So yeah.
And of note is that she met this person at a dinner party. I mean, it's again, how do we know where these gigs come from? And it's a networking situation. I mean, really, I've been seeing that in my situation with Shift Network where I did one successful course and the next thing I knew, would you like to be in our Shamanism Global Summit? Would you like to be in our Sound Healing Global Summit? It's just sort of this kind of like you've cracked into a new community. Like you said, you had actually a magical set of skills to serve this population and be compensated well for it. I think one tip is whenever we're doing things like this that are scalable projects, and we're actually writing training materials, you know, how can we replicate this? How can this become self-sustaining? That's a lot of what created Health Rhythms and my work in Iraq is how do we train facilitators? So I'm sure you'll be thinking about all of that, but it's a, you know, service delivery is one model, but then trunking, as we've talked about pruning, branching, and trunking, is how do I train facilitators? How does Stephen monetize the idea of training people as Genesis frequency, right? Genesis vibration, hold on. I have to remember the exact word. What is it? Is it Genesis frequency?
Yes, Genesis. The
That's what I
Genesis
thought.
frequency is the name
I
of
like
the
that.
podcast.
Right, so if he creates this, he can then train Genesis frequency facilitators, right? Or, you know, this whole train the trainer model is really powerful for all of us to keep in mind. I know Lulu is training facilitators as well. And Lulu had a big milestone the other day. I helped her get her database organized. I'm so proud of you, Lulu. We're getting her database organized so that she can do more email marketing. So this is a big part of Mastermind, is the level of what you guys are all doing. You're innovating. I think you're basically modeling what Stephen's teaching, right? You're attracting. The law of attraction is that it happens first in our consciousness, and then we draw that to us. You know, how does a coincidence of a dinner party turn into a very large paying gig in the exact purpose of your heart? Well, that's the law of attraction if I ever did see it. So, you know, how does John book Twitter? By the fact that he had a contact from 7 years ago at a bank. These are all part of when we talked about the 5 keys to mastery. You know, and what Joseph Campbell says is you put yourself on the path of luck. And so those 5 keys are just a reminder, because you are in this mastery course with me. The first one is claim your purpose. And I'm really hearing that on this call. It's like, I'm focusing on yoga studios. I'm focusing on this. I'm focusing on this aspect. It's like, claim your passion. And then it's get a guide, get a coach. And then it's practice, practice, practice. I mean, Stephen's getting up in the morning and really, you think about how that's honing his speaking skills and his teaching skills, right? And then David is like, oh, for 8 years, I'm running these programs and I'm going to practice and practice. And we just have to honor that we can't, you know, we get better by practicing. And then the 4th thing is visualize the outcome. Vision boards, telling someone else your dream, visualizing that. Before Grace starts, she sees the end product. Damon is like seeing that workshop in the yoga studios. You know, that visualizing the success. Across the board, masters do this. And the person at the free throw line is not imagining the ball missing. And the last one is play the edge. Play the edge means, oh my gosh, I'm innovating again. You know, just because that's the path of self-employment and mastery, is that, you know, you're going to get bored. I was bored teaching health rhythms, to be honest, after 19 years. And I said, I'm done. I'm going to play the edge. I want to create something new with health rhythms. So that is how we evolve and how we stay excited and fresh about our work, playing the edge. So that might also mean picking an edgy topic. For me, it was the day that I did shadow drumming as a video. It got a lot of views and a lot of people appreciated it, but I was like, here's something kind of edgy that we're not talking about. So bringing up the topics we're not talking about, or pushing yourself into something that's your own growing edge. That we want to celebrate. It's uncomfortable. It can feel scary, but we know in mastery, as master facilitators, this is my growing edge. And it's okay to feel that uncomfortable. It's going to feel that. I was just thinking about you, Lulu. I mean, it's like Lulu's contemplating, creating her own training in her own backyard, specializing on her work with aging. I mean, it's exciting to me to see this happen for you in Vancouver, because she's been a champion of other people's work. And now she's contemplating this as like a real edge for her, right, Lulu? I would say, I don't want to speak for you, but as I'm watching you evolve and I'm seeing this new thing happen for you, I'm just really celebrating that, because you're really evolving and you're playing your edge. And so you find your support team and you step into that edge. So let's just take a breath. Does this resonate with you guys? Okay. I'm sorry Carolina's not on our call. I really wanted to show you progress she's making in her Facebook posts. But I'm going to just take a 2-second, and Alicia, I miss Alicia tonight too, but a 2-second thing about Carolina is we brainstormed her name's Carolina Grace. Speaking of grace, saving grace. So she's come up with inspired moments of grace for her Facebook live morning sessions. And it really is making a difference in her viewing audience numbers and, her branding. She just did a tiny tweak. She just named it. And that umbrella terminology just gave her much more of an audience. And who doesn't want a little inspired moment of grace? So what's in it for me? So tonight's topic has to do with secrets of time management from burnout to bliss. And I want to start by asking, how many of you have experienced burnout? No, so some people have not. Is that right? Some of you have never experienced burnout. Who here has had burnout? Okay, it can be debilitating. And the thing about our work is you are your product. And my message to you tonight in Mastery is that time management, time is money, time efficiency, like that's so efficient of Stephen to have this schedule, like disciplined. I get up in the morning, I do the podcast, I'm delivering that discipline in how he's organized his time management. If we fail to plan, we plan to fail is the saying that I like to say for today. So planning ahead. I'm not naturally good at this. It's my growing edge. But last week, I was blissfully happy to send in my monthly numbers to my CPA, my accountant, my bookkeeper, I mean, because in the past, I just do it at the end of the year and dump it all on her, and it's stressful for everybody. And I made a commitment to better time management, to doing it once a month, and I'm improving, and I'm happy. I feel happy. I'm seeing my numbers every month for the first time in my long career. Because it was my shadow. So I don't like numbers and details. Anybody relate to this? And it's actually a learning curve for me. And I'm stepping into it. And what I want to say is, if you've reached burnout, you know how inefficient it is. As a state of burnout, it's completely inefficient. The minute we reach burnout, we can't work. We're no good. We show up, but we're exhausted. You get illnesses. It puts you back. So how do we stay juicy? Because your juice is your product. And this brings up also the topic of self-care. I mean, I had an issue with ear ringing. I have an issue with ear ringing, which changed a lot of how I run my life and my work. To have tinnitus, I can't stand in the middle of 100 people drumming anymore. So it changed a lot of my self-care. And teaching online and coaching more. And, these are signs from our bodies of, okay, you've done that for enough years. How do we listen and how do we move forward? The biggest thing that has helped me is this burner metaphor that I want to give you. And that is to think of the projects you have, because many of us have lots of projects, as burners on a stove. And if we have a 4-burner stove, we want to always keep an open burner. This is the biggest thing I've learned, right? Is like, if I don't have an open space, I'm never going to manifest that law of attraction thinking. If Grace had somebody say this to her at a dinner party and she said, that'd be fun, but I'm sorry, I'm completely full and burnt out. I don't have room for another project, right? But if we can live our lives financially stabilized to have an open burner. So I have 3 projects going and there's an open burner. What can I handle on my stove? So we don't want to be the cause of our overwhelm. I've seen this in so many great facilitators. I've seen this in great spiritual teachers who suddenly get overwhelmed, overextended. You feel it when you see them. They're tired. They don't have the spark anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? Right? So this is the class on preserving the spark. So my question is, and you can put this in the chat bar, you know, what is your regular management, energy management system? The way I found this out is I sat down after a personal meltdown, really big one, a number of years ago, and I had this meltdown of where I looked and I read through all my journals for the last year, and it hit me what I do to revive and what I need on a regular basis. And thanks to Stephen Covey, he says, don't prioritize your schedule, schedule your priorities. One key that's helping me is scheduling that maintenance plan. If I don't have time for meditation, if I don't have time for yoga, or I don't, you know, hiking, or my personal plan, which is 4 hours alone unplugged in nature every week, if I haven't planned that on my schedule, it's probably not going to happen. So can I schedule me as a priority? Is this selfish? You're damn right it is. Just think of it as product development. Because I'm doing my self-care and something will come to me. Does anybody have that experience? So I just want you to put in the chat bar, you know, what are those things that you have found that are essential to your energy management plan? Because I will tell you that it's just not efficient to not maintain good personal self-care. It's inefficient to get to a point of burnout because mostly it takes about a week to come back from burnout. And that's a small estimate compared to if you get really ill, right? And we can get ill. We can get exhausted. We can get adrenal fatigue. I think our work is more susceptible to burnout than anything in a way because we're so generating. We have to kind of generate it. And we get to these programs where it's very reciprocity, like Brad's work in Health Rhythms. But still, he's generating that work. He's driving to the gig. He's billing the people. You know, there's so many pieces of this that can wear us down. So I just kind of wanted to open this sometimes taboo topic of, you know, the energy drain of this work. Of being, and especially if your personality type is introverted, this can really be draining if you don't get that alone time. You know, if you're an introverted person and Grace, I don't know what your personality type is, but if you are, let's say, and they want to book you for, you know, 8 hours of training people, you have to know to say, you know what, can we discuss doing 4 hours one day and 4 hours the next day? You know what, we have to like speak for our own self-care and needs. Is this making sense to you guys? I just think it's really individual. What helps you with your energy management is different than anyone else. For me, it was a surprise when I had this meltdown. I looked back in my journals. I was surprised that alone time was reviving me. I thought of myself as the most extroverted person. But it's actually, aha, it was a big aha. Like, oh yeah. Because my work is so social, I need that alone time. So let's see what people are sharing on the chat bars. Because if you have this, and if you can practice, my tip for you is to practice the scheduling of this. Can you try this week? Can you schedule? These are great. Can't give nobody a jump with a dead battery. Wow, I love that. Great. These are all great. Drumming. Brad says, I drum to keep fresh. Yep. Good sleep. Making your food, that's a big one of mine too. I love cooking. When I come back from travel, I start cooking. Nice. Oh, and she's finding a limit. One-to-one client per day. Don't take appointments on Monday. This is great boundaries. Beautiful. That's powerful. Okay, Lulu, I really want to know, what is Rhythm Bliss online meditation and drumming? John, regular Tai Chi and yoga, classical music, making friends, creating good contracts with clients. Yes. So what is Rhythm Bliss online? That I really want to know.
Hi. My drumming teacher, Alexandra Millman, has set up a fabulous online course called Rhythm Bliss, and she does meditation and drumming, and she also has her classes, the classes that I go to, online as well. So you can learn you can keep up with your drumming, you can learn different culturally specific stuff, but then there's all this other aspect of drumming and meditation, and it's just excellent. And you can do I did it from when I was traveling just a couple of weeks ago on the boat. It was great. I didn't have a drum. I just used the my body, and it was great.
Beautiful. Great. I was just looking at the website. Good job. Thank you.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. So how many of you have do the scheduling of these self-care things? I mean, Nai, what you're sharing is true about how you run your business to have it so you avoid burnout. That's kind of burnout of business. That's one category. And then there's burnout of just personal self-care. So there's kind of, I've realized in this conversation tonight, there's really definitely two tracks. Are you running your business in a way that's renewing, right? So that's a great point. And then are you like, how do I set boundaries, and Mondays no clients, or having clear contracts and things like that, and making sure I'm being paid? That'll create burnout. Not being paid, that's a huge burnout trigger for me. And then the second thing, or me not taking care of business. And then the second kind is this personal self-care. So for me, when I'm teaching the Shift Network class on drumming for healing, believe me, I'm practicing it every day. I'm getting up, I'm practicing what I'm teaching, because if I'm not really in my integrity, right? So this is, and also I go to a spa and I write it off as a physical therapy on my Schedule C. Really. You take a retreat day for your work, believe me, that's a write-off. That's professional development. And it should be. Something every day if possible. Yeah, I mean, these might be daily things, but the other thing is to really know what is your sign of burnout. What is your sign of burnout? If you don't know that sign, it's going to be very likely that you're going to go past the edge. So you have to know your red flag. And studies have shown that the red flag is lack of personal accomplishment, feeling like feeling overextended, can't catch your breath. You start to blow off self-care, junk food, fast eating, all those things. And believe me, this is hard to practice, guys. I'm not kidding. This is not easy. It's not really affirmed in our culture. We have a culture of like, hurry up, grab a Starbucks, eat a power bar, and go to work. So we have this overstressed work. But if our work is reducing stress for people, we have to be practicing it. And I want you to be practicing it. I want you to love what you do for a long time, to make it sustainable by making adaptations, taking care of yourself. The self-care, the business care, getting an assistant, having a solid back end. These things, when you're not managing it, one thing, a computer crash, can take you down the rabbit hole. If you didn't back it up, you just didn't have time. You're busy running around making contracts. I don't have time. The minute you're saying I don't have time, you're probably on the burnout path. That's probably a universal sign. Okay? So the burners is my metaphor to you today, is to think about how many projects you have going on. How good are you at saying no? How good are you at scheduling your priorities? And then my last tip I put on here is the warm fuzzies file. What do I mean? So the minute I get a great feedback sheet, I put it in the warm fuzzies file. I usually hang it in front of me. I got a nice email yesterday. I print it. I put it out. You know what I mean? It just means so much to me that I can go back to that comment from a participant, from a person, from a client. And we just keep track of that. This is an idea that I discussed with Stephen Covey when I met him at this conference with Panda Express. And I was like, do you know about the warm fuzzies file? He's like, totally. Yes, of course. You gotta really know the gold of a testimonial that makes you happy, that makes your heart sing, and hold that. Because we don't work in a workforce of people in an office where we don't get a supervisor in this work, do we? Right? We don't get that supervisor going, hey, here's your bonus today. Nope. My bonus comes from me. And I gotta be good as a supervisor to bonus myself. Like, hey, you just finished Awaken Your Rhythm course. Go to the spa for the day. Like, we have to treat ourselves this way, right? So that we are creating the workplace that we want, because we are the boss. And so the warm fuzzies file, I think we just let it go too often. The powerful comments people make to you are gold. When you're feeling burned out, those things are going to give you that breadcrumb back to the purpose of what you're doing. And that's why I always ask people to pass out those sheets on a regular basis. Because there's just nothing like reading it, and it's the reciprocity. I just gave you a program. I want to hear back from you how it affected you. It's that circularity. And the last thing I want to share is this diagram here. Let me screen share it. It has really helped me, also from Stephen Covey. Come on, his work was amazing. Urgent, not urgent, important, not important are the 4 quadrants. Now, the best place to spend your time is important and not urgent. 75% of the time, Stephen Covey says that's your target. It's not urgent, but it's productive. It's not urgent, but it's important. Because most of us, we spend our time on what is urgent. He says you should spend 5% of your time in the urgent and important. Okay, I had to get up this morning, by the way. I had to run a whole video shoot today, but I still scheduled 30 minutes to get up this morning and do some urgent emailing. Anybody know what I mean? Like, I gotta do it. It's urgent and it's important. I had to bill some things, I had to ship some things, I had to manage some things, right? So we do that 5% target time. Here is the bad trap. Urgent and not important. This is when other people dump their problems on you. This is the client that calls at the last minute and says, oh, we have a really important question. You know, we really, really need this and this and this and this. And can you help us right now? And you're like, wait a second, I booked this gig with you for this. Or this used to happen to me all the time at Remo when I worked there, because we had Remo as our boss. You'd be working on something and he'd walk in with his urgent situation, which really wasn't important to you, but you had to do it because it was Remo. You know, so it was a total time suck. Somebody else's urgent and not important problem. Or what does he call it? Phone calls, emails, distraction. You ever track how much time you talk on the phone with people? Right? Walk-ins, that's when like Remo would walk into my office. Hey, I want you to help me design such and such and such. And my question for you is always, what hooks you into the non-important urgent? What is the hook? And then lastly, the time you definitely don't want to share, put yourself in, is not urgent and not important. Stephen Covey says 5%. I mean, I do like to hang out in that quadrant for 5% of my time, where it's just like, I don't know what you call it, zoning out, watching YouTube. Not important and not urgent. You're just kind of like, you know, phone calling, socializing, wasting time. You're watching TV, you're doing, whatever you're doing that might be considered a waste of time, but it's still where we put our time. So let's review. The place we want to spend the most time is where it's not urgent, but it's important. So if I'm Stephen, I'm like, I'm going to schedule 2 hours and get a team together and brainstorm topics for my podcast. There's no urgency to it, but I can get planned ahead. Because I'm not in urgency mode, I'm thinking clearer, right? And then we do want to always tend to what's urgent and important. And he says, do what's urgent and important first. Go there first. It's a crisis, handle it. Don't procrastinate the crisis. It will only suck more time. Be careful setting boundaries with the urgent and not important quadrant. And then just be aware of how you waste time. We all do it, right? It's just consciousness. Okay. I'll say one more thing about and then I'll open it up for comments. The not important and urgent, when it's kind of the walk-ins or somebody else is dumping something on you, and this is just confidential in our group. Everything we share is confidential in our group. And I have to tell you what the hook was, but I almost fell into a huge urgent and not important project. And I could see it sucking my energy. And the hook was, it was Mickey Hart asking me to help him run an autism conference at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. And I said no. And boy, that did not go over well with Mickey Hart. And I had to risk my relationship with him. And I basically had to say to him, I would love to help you. I'm going to find people that can help you that are based in D.C., but I can't take on this project at this time. Especially for no pay. I mean, I feel like I owe him a lot. He's my mentor, he's helped me so much, but I was not at a place in I said, if I'm at a place in my life where there's 10 burners available on my stove, I could have taken it on, but I was in the middle of the Iraqi refugee project. When I explained the situation to him, he was, of course, sort of understanding, but still pissed. We did end up having someone help him through Remo. And the guy at Remo felt like it was a dump too. I mean, it is a sort of situation where sometimes there's sort of people that expect kind of a usury thing where they expect you to handle their problems and their projects. So could you please email to me, Stephen? What? Oh, okay. So yeah, this is the concept of these times. Oh, you guys don't have the chart? Oh. I thought it was in the handout, but anyway, that chart is golden. Every employee that I have come into my office, my assistants, I start with that chart. I show them the chart. I want them to be with me. Another quick story, and then I'll open it up. I don't mean to be yapping the whole time, but 2 weeks ago, Remo had given us a sample of the Harmony bars, new product, which I actually named, which was fun. And so because I saw them when Paul John Deere had a set of them. So they sent them to me and asked me to make a video. This is way on my not urgent and important list, right? It's like Remo wants me to make a video with this product. But it's important, but not urgent. They were like, whenever, no deadline. So I put it in my important, not urgent quadrant. We made the video. It was so successful. It had 1,000 views in less than 24 hours on my webpage. But I took time. I got a videographer, I got my assistant to sit with me, we practiced and we filmed it. And I know this feels weird, doesn't it? It's like, I'm not being paid to do this. But Remo now wants to feature it in their homepage. And you know how many people go to a Remo homepage. It's a giant audience. And not that I did this to get on that page. It's just a great story of important, but not urgent. So, Grace has a proposal to write. It's important and urgent. Right? She has a deadline probably. So this is how I think about most everything coming in my inbox for time. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see if anybody has comments about this time management system. Have you all seen this before? Or any of you operate? Does this resonate with you guys? A good example of important and not urgent is designing a curriculum for a rhythm chakra class, right? It's only urgent if you book a gig and you push yourself into urgency, which a lot of us do, to create deadlines. Or as someone said to me the other day, I don't like the word deadlines. They use deliverables, deliverable dates. Believe me, working with the Shift Network, I'm learning all about conscious communication, and they use the word deliverables. They never like the word deadlines. Okay, so comments about time management. I'd love to hear if any of you have other time management tips. Or if people feel brave enough to share what sucks your time. Okay, go ahead, Brad.
So one of the things that, as I was looking at the chart, you get these phone calls, and I try to do actually most of my contacting to the people that I work for via email. I can do it kind of when I want, but I also have a kind of a written document of what we discussed, so that in the case of some sort of a snafu, I can go back and look and say, okay, I did send it to you, or I didn't send it to you, which is, I'm usually pretty good about that. As I'm trying to pare down some of my work over the next couple of months, every time there's a schedule change with the people that I work with, I don't know what happens. Everything just grinds to a halt, and I show up at a community and they're not expecting me, and so forth. And it's like I can actually pull up the email on my phone and go, yeah, I should be here right now in this room. So it's easier for me to do it via email. And I usually try at the first of the month, when I go through my calendar and I look at the entire month on the first of the month, or the 31st or 30th, I look for the spots that are going to blow up, and I can pretty much identify them ahead of time. And then when I can try to preemptively strike and send the email, go out, just a reminder, this day is switched or this time is switched. And it really helps. It helps that I don't have to walk in and have a panic, because the last thing I want to do is walk in and have a panic when I'm there to help people relax and de-stress. So if I show up and it's a panic and all kinds of stuff going on, that's not good for them. It's not good for me. So I try to be preemptive about it. Same thing happened this morning. I showed up. Where do I go? Went to one room. No. Go back to the other room. No. Go back to the first room. Fortunately, I'm on wheels. Nothing flusters me, but it was just one of those things where if someone quit, no one followed through. But I got there in enough time where there was no panic. So, it's like trying to anticipate the problems is a big time saver for me. And there's almost always something, 3 to 4 times a month that I have to send out a reminder and go, okay, what is it going to be? And that way, by the time I get there, it's all settled. So it helps a lot.
Give him some love. Honestly, that was very moving to me, what you just shared.
Really?
Like, you could be in victim consciousness, like, these people are pissing me off. I schedule things and they don't show up. And then I'm going to send you all a link to this article on this, so you can all have the chart. This chart is so popular online. You can buy workbooks with this chart. Like I said, I draw it out for everybody I work with. There's all kinds of blogs on it. I'm just popping up one example of it. But yeah, it's a great chart to have. And it's not exactly the one I sent you. I hope everybody has the one I sent you, because it's in the handout, because it really gives you the percentages that Stephen Covey, he studied all this, right? But Brad, big kudos to you. The preventive level that you just brought our attention to is marvelous. I love that, because we have to take it on ourselves to do reminders sometimes. Yep. Yeah. Otherwise, we walk in and it sucks and it's chaos. And so you're finding a way, and your business is, humming along, and you're finding ways to be more and more efficient. And I like your system at the beginning of the month. I look for the red flags.
Always at the beginning of the month. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was powerful.
Thanks.
Anybody else have some system they want to share? Okay, I'll send the handout again. It says sessions 4 through 6, the handout. So I sent it 3 months ago, so it's easy to unlocate, but I'll send it again. What about other people? It's really great for you guys to share these. Good, Damon. It's good to share these with each other because it's, we're innovating and everybody's time management style is different. Not everybody could get up at 2 in the morning, Stephen, and pull that off. Okay, David.
Yeah, I would love to get up at 2 in the morning and do that. But my thing is not a system per se, Christine. Everybody's different, but I just have something to share that's a Zen quote. But I think it applies to a lot of what you're talking about with self-care. And it says, if you don't have time to meditate for 30 minutes, meditate for an hour. And for me, I have actually, trained myself. I was in, Christine knows this. I don't know how many of you know, I was living like a monk, pretty much for 3 years. And this principle of meditating, it's amazing. By getting still, your mind, I saw it happen over and over again. Your mind, my mind, I'll just speak and hope offers something that maybe you can apply. The mind actually becomes more efficient. So by sitting still and just stopping, sometimes they take care of themselves. It's amazing how often that happens. Or the mind gets calm enough to come up with a solution that you wouldn't have thought of if you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. And so I just found that, if I'm just spinning out, I don't have time to meditate. I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. Again, I'll just repeat and then close. By getting still, the mind taps into a deeper, calmer, more brilliant, genius place. And the solution, oftentimes by the end of meditation, is handed me on a silver platter. Not to say I go into the meditation thinking I'll solve this problem, because that would be thinking. And that has its place as well. But I found oftentimes by getting the mind really calm, the solution just presents itself.
Give them some appreciation for that. I think it's funny that I didn't even think to bring that up, but you're right. I mean, it's really true. A practice of stillness in the mind is often a solution. You have a regular practice of that, it'll bring up something. Beautiful. Anybody else? Is this chart not in the handout? I mean, I'm looking at the handout and the chart is in the handout, but it's possible that somehow it didn't go into you guys' handout, I guess.
Well, when I get them from you, I print them out right away and put them in a Christine Stevens folder, where I got all the stuff, and it's not there. I didn't recheck the email, but your handouts that you did with the 4, 5, and 6, it's not in there.
All right. Well, some people have it, some people don't. Anyway, I just have to. I'll send it again, of course, with our recording of today, because this time quadrant thing changed my life. I mean, honestly, this is the thing that came to me was time is money. And if you think of it, time efficiency is an investment, no pun intended, because time is money. So I realized I have to learn better time efficiency methods if I'm going to manage a business like this. Because time is money, and I want freedom. I want time. I feel so lucky that I live a life where I can have time to do yoga or walk on a beach or have 4 hours in nature, but I make that happen. It would not happen. My tendency would be to keep working. There's always going to be more work to do, guys. There's always going to be work. And if you haven't, how many of you have been to the meltdown stage in your work? I want to show a hand. I really mean it. So some of you, okay, that's good. Some people haven't. So if you hit the meltdown stage, which is like complete, you've gone past burnout. One stage beyond burnout is meltdown. And that's when you have a real aha moment where, okay, I got to change something. Something's not right. And those moments are part of learning how to be more efficient. And that's good. Some people haven't had to face that. That's the better ideal. I'll never face it again now that I've been through it. So the point of today's call was to emphasize time management and that you are your product. And that planning, which is sometimes weird for people like us who are often artistic and spontaneous, but planning is the best efficiency. I mean, I'm totally having to rework my own habitual style of get up and wing it and not do that and plan ahead and have conversations with clients and just learning that the more I spend time on the front end, the better, and I think Brad's story is a great example, the better it will go. I'm going to drum on Thursday this week with Hands of Peace with Palestinian and Israeli youth, 42 of them. They fly them here for 2 weeks. And I've had conference calls. I know exactly where I'm meeting them. They're coming with carts and 6 volunteers. I mean, it is really going to be efficient. We're going to go early, have lunch, listen to a speaker. You know, it's really important that we figure out to invest that prep time. And it's not natural, but it is the not urgent, but important. Okay, so 75% of our time is in me. Imagine feeling for 75% of your day that it's not urgent. There's nothing urgent. I'm just doing my work. Just like take a minute and visualize into that. Take a breath into that and close your eyes. As we began this call with a moment of awareness through Dr. Kaz. Dr. Kaz's teachings to us about attraction patterns. We just take a minute to close tonight's call and close our eyes. Take a breath and just feel in your body what it's like to be living your passion, doing what you love, making money at it, feeling correctly compensated, spending 75% of my time without a feeling of urgency. Now, urgency is what kills our adrenal glands. That's a big factor of burnout. Especially when it's other people's urgency. Thank you for drumming along, Damon. Anybody else? Please join me. And to just feel in your body the feeling of everything is taken care of in my business. I attract the clients I want to work with. I focus my attention. I focus my business. I focus my work on where I would like to be, the population I want to serve. As I take care of myself, my business thrives. I know what I need, you know what you need to be operating your business out of a place of health and abundance. And I take care of that. I take care of what needs to be taken care of. And what dreams have you been putting on the back burner because the burners have been full? What dreams have you been putting on the back burner? They're not urgent, but they're important. How can you pay better attention to those things? How can you invest time in that quadrant of what's important? And I'm just grateful for everybody who's been on this course. It's been such a great experience being with you all in these sessions. Hey, it's never happened before that a mastermind group said, let's do a few more sessions, but I'm so hoping that we'll get all of you, or at least enough of you, that we can keep going. I have more to teach. I have more questions to ask, more dialogues that I'd love us to have together, topics to discuss. I just have this feeling that our mastermind group can just go to another level and bring topics to each other, to conversation. That'd be powerful. So let me know if you want to continue. I'll send a follow-up. And just grateful for all the people that you help and serve. And geez, it's exponential. Just in our group, in this pod of people, how many people we serve. And I'm so grateful for all of the growth I've witnessed in this group. Man, I keep seeing Carol Richards' videos on Facebook, and I'm just like, wow, she's rocking it. Podcasts and training seminars and new programs and new clients and efficiencies, and it's just wonderful. So thank you. Okay, let's just close with one word of what you're taking with you from today. And I'm going to unmute everybody. So if you're sitting next to a blender, just be conscious of that. Damien, we'll start with you. What are you taking with you from today's call?
Love, inspiration.
Stephen? Dr. Kaz?
John?
Appreciation.
Brad?
Clarity and inspiration as well.
Grace?
Peace and joy.
Lulu?
Incredible inspiration. Thank you so much for all of you. But thanks, Christine. And I'm ready to do it again. Continue on.
Okay, great. Naive?
Inspired planning.
New buzzword, inspired planning. Okay, John.
Camaraderie and appreciation.
Wonderful. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And I think we'll just put a deadline of like the end of the week. If you could let me know if you want to continue. I think I said maybe 3 more sessions. And let me know. You'll be the first mastermind group to break the sound barrier on what's possible through continuing and bringing your ideas.
Come on, guys. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
Yes.
And I want you to come up with more topics then that we can discuss, that I can help bring teachings to. And, you know, I want to really honor your questions, your struggles, so participate with me in those next topics. That'd be great. Break the barrier. First group to say, let's go further. Let's play the edge. I was thinking of that for a requirement. We could do like a play the edge month where everybody has to do one thing that pushes the edge and report back. All right, well, I like to have these project-based learning, this program. And so the project for this month is time management. Do one thing, whether it's schedule those priorities for self-care or it's how do I get out of those urgent ones. John wrote that someone just emailed him and it said urgent, but it wasn't. That's great. So just look at what your traps are inside those quadrants and try to minimize them. All right. Thank you all so much. See you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Take care, everybody.
You too.
Yeah.